2017 is flat out the greatest year for video games. Yeah, I said it. Not only did we get a whole bunch of great games, and I mean a whole lot, we had many excellent games released through the entire year. The video game fairy was very great to us this year. But we also had a couple revolutionary games released this year. Games that will go down as some of the best gaming moments of all time, either from a game design perspective or just from an overall gaming experience. And I think that is what really makes the biggest impact. We will be talking about some of these games for a very long time. Just like in every list video, these are my opinions. So my list is 100% factual, and everyone else's opinion should be adjusted accordingly. Now on to my top 5 favorite video games of 2017. The Resident Evil franchise over the last decade or so has continued to divide or distance their own fan base. After the release of the excellent Resident Evil 4, they continued to push their once horror-based game into a more action shooter genre. Me personally, I love the mixture of both, and 4 seemed to do it the best. But that died after 5 and 6 released, leaving Capcom's fan base upset. Resident Evil Revelations was a fun game that tried to live up to what 4 was, but sadly didn't scratch that itch for many players. Fans were becoming restless for Resident Evil to finally return to form. Then Resident Evil 7 came along and kicked everyone in the nuts and said, fine, here you bitches go. 7 was the perfect game for Capcom to release in my opinion. The game will once again be horror based. No over-the-top action stuff, no nonsensical stories to try to tie everything together, just you, a big scary area to explore, and more importantly, zombies. Sort of. And not only was the atmosphere on point, the gameplay was spectacular. The shift to first person at first worried me, but I have to say Capcom knocked it out of the park. It adds another spooky level on top of the already spooky game. Staring down the barrel of your gun while nervously trying to shoot your enemies while still trying to preserve ammo is terrifying and thrilling. Opening doors and walking around corners was nerve-wracking. It was chilling to really do anything in the game, and that's how it's supposed to be. While the game has some issues in the later sections, Resident Evil 7 has a great combination of horror, action, and puzzles. If Capcom keeps this up, then we could see the king of survival horror back on top of the game. Wolfenstein II absolutely blew me away. I have to admit I did not play the first one or the standalone DLC, so I really didn't know what to expect. I guess I was expecting something more like Doom. Story takes a backseat while it's all about the gameplay. Now the gameplay is still absolutely fantastic, but I wasn't expecting to be so invested in the story. Each character was superbly voice acted. The story, over the top at times, was touching and brutal. BJ Blazkowicz was an awesome, noble character that I just wanted to see more of. And the same goes for his ragtag team. Wolfenstein 2 made you feel like a supreme badass. I mean, you were so badass you were wanted by the entire Nazi regime. Running around and killing Nazis was so satisfying. And isn't that what makes a great FPS campaign? A story and characters you care about, and shooting bad guys is extremely fun and satisfying? Wolfenstein 2 checks all the boxes for an awesome first-person shooter and is one of my favorite titles this year. Also, spoiler alert, you can kick Hitler in his face. Super Mario Odyssey is exactly what I wanted from a new Mario game. Exploration-based levels just like in 64 and Sunshine. But somehow it's still only third on my list. To me, Odyssey didn't do anything new or groundbreaking. Yes, the game involved a new hat throw mechanic, but it wasn't on the same level of moving to 3D or the manipulation of gravity. Now I don't think the game is better than 64 or either of the Super Mario titles, but Odyssey should still get credit where credit is due. In a game that's all about the gameplay, Odyssey nails everything that a Mario game should be. Controlling Mario is just a blast. It's probably the tightest controls in any Mario game. And his new moves are awesome. Connecting the right button presses to get to a far spot you didn't think would be possible, pulling off the triple jump, throw your hat, long dive to throw your hat again and jump off of it was absolutely one of the most fun moments I have had this year in any video game. And the level design was just top notch. Every level flowed so perfectly with Mario's movements. Every time I didn't think I was going to make a jump, I barely made it by the skin of my teeth. Each platform seemed precisely placed so that the level just flows naturally as you move along. most of the time at least. Sometimes I did feel like there was a lot of empty space, especially in the Sand Kingdom and the Moon Kingdom, but that's just a tiny gripe I had. Super Mario Odyssey was nothing near groundbreaking, but was still a wonderful game and one of the best made games of the year. Just like every 3D Mario game, Odyssey is an absolute must play. That's right, I'm including Pubg on this list. In my opinion, if a game is available to purchase or download, it should be considered for Game of the Year. I got to this game a little late because I had to wait for the Xbox One version, but oh god did this game sink its hooks into me. Pubg has some of the most addictive gameplay I have played this year. Every single match I am just craving some of those chicken dinners. The frantic and suspenseful gameplay is unmatched. The unpredictability of each game is wonderfully frustrating. And I say that in a good way. I could pick up some awesome weapons and gear and get run over while trying to get to my next stop, or I could find some shitty gear and somehow make it to the top 5 left. You never know. And every firefight you get into is the most frantic thing ever. Hearing shots whiz past you and not knowing where they're coming from will leave you nervously running to hide behind cover while guzzling down energy drinks. And when you get that perfect shot on another player after ducking for cover, it will leave you in a pile of sweat. Pubg is an experience I've never played before, which everyone should. Each game is totally different than the last, and the game allows you to develop your own stories just through the gameplay, which can't be found in many other games. If you want to hear more about how awesome of an experience Pubg is, then watch my latest video in my series Remember That Game. You know, I didn't think it could be done. I didn't think a game could ever reach the level of being considered one of the greatest games of all time anymore. Yet, here we are. To me, Breath of the Wild is the greatest open world game ever made. It fixed almost every issue I had with today's open world games. In games like The Witcher 3, while still an absolute must-play and a fantastic game, I found myself following a straight path almost the entire game. Here's your quest on the map, follow the path, do the quest, and repeat. I feel like a game shouldn't have the title open world if it's actually just a linear experience in a big environment. You see, Breath of the Wild is all about getting lost. The game starts, and after an hour of gameplay, the game just releases you into this huge world that you can explore. And that's the key word in that sentence, you. There is no checkbox of quests that you have to fill in. If you want to do something, then you have to find it. The map is totally blank. Even when you find a tower to fill in your map, all it does is fill in the area's geographic terrain. That's it. You see, Breath of the Wild's main hook is exploring and finding shrines that are essentially mini dungeons. But once again, you have to find them. So you could just stumble onto them or see one off in the distance and tag it on your map to explore later. And once you complete a shrine, you receive a shrine orb. 4 of those can grab you another heart or more stamina. Another insanely smart move was that the designers give you every single tool/weapon that you need to beat the game. No, seriously, after the opening on the plateau, you can go straight to fight Ganon. Most people won't actually be able to defeat him, but you can do it if you want. The choice is always there, because you can collect as many hearts as you want, and if you feel ready, you can go fight Ganon whenever. But because you get everything you need in the first hour of the game, you can solve every puzzle and every shrine right off the bat. There is no need to return to a shrine with an item to solve it. You have everything you need to solve anything in the game. Breath of the Wild is a monumental achievement in video games, one that other developers will be studying for a long time to come. Hell, I hear gaming insiders referring to mixing up a series or franchise as Breath of the Wildizing the series. This is a game that could quite possibly change open world games from now on. A game I will be thinking about for a long time and is easily one of my favorite games of all time. I vote Breath of the Wild as my 2017 Game of the Year. Thank you for watching. 2017 was an insane year. We were spoiled with so many games. Some trying to grab our nostalgia and other new games that blew me away. Let me know what your favorite games are in the comment section below and why you love them. I'll see you next time.